Hey everyone, welcome to The Flip Side with your hosts Chris and Sean.
We're a podcast rambling about the interesting questions in the world of movement.
Alright guys, so today we're going to be talking about higher level gymnasts transitioning into tricking or higher level trickers going into gymnastics, and we're going to kind of argue back and forth and see who's right.
So we're going to be talking about, we're going to be seeing what one we think would do better. So there's a few gymnasts who have transitioned into tricking, but there's not a lot of trickers who have transitioned into gymnastics. So we're going to just argue a little bit about whose skill set sets them up the best or whose drive sets them up the best. But we'll get into that. We'll talk about that. So first off, to start, I just want to hear a couple things from you, Sean. What do you think that sets a gymnast up to be a high level tricker? And we're talking like we want to see Olympic level gymnasts going highest level tricking, competing with like Zen and Shosei and Mike. Who do you think can do that?
Well, first off, gymnasts are just superior beings overall to trickers, and that's just my point of view. But looking at it, I mean, gymnasts have to learn multiple events. They have to learn how to control their body in air right from the get-go. And if you're not good at it, it's really hard to just keep transitioning. I mean, granted, it is also like that in tricking, but we have to learn twisting and doing doubles like really fast. Like, you don't get a lot of time to just sit back and take a breather and just be like, I just don't want to do it today. Like, no, you have to. You have competition in 4 weeks, so, we still need to practice these skills and do them. Oh, we have competition in 3 months. Oh, well, we still need to learn these skills, so good luck. So, I mean, we have landed quads and triple doubles. We've landed double layouts way before tricking ever existed. And we even did some of those things with less springy of a floor. So, I mean, we kind of have the home field advantage.
That's true. I think I do agree with you. So on one part, and that's that the coaching aspect of it is really, really good. But I think that if trickers had coaches and that they started as young of an age as the gymnasts, that we would easily outperform you guys. And you're saying you have the different events and everything, but we also, I mean, we have the tumbling aspect, but we also have the kicks and we have the variations and we have the different setups, the single legs, the swings, hypers, wraps, tacks, everything. And then we learned everything on tramp. So it's not like we don't know how to use your equipment and everything. And a lot of us come from parkour too. So we do get an understanding of the momentum carrying and all that stuff. So, I mean, I don't think that there's anything that a gymnast can do that a tricker couldn't pick up on because we're so well-rounded. And then you do have the coaches, but we also teach ourselves everything, which means we learn how to
That is
learn.
true.
And so like we don't create the robots that gymnastics creates. So like gymnastics, yes, they're very good, but I feel like that they have a super hard time transitioning into tricking because there is those off-axis tricks and they just can't. Like they taught their body from such a young age, which is a good thing, but it's also kind of a curse because they were taught to do it this way, and it's hard for them to break that. Do you agree with that?
I mean, yeah, that is true. Like, I mean, even for my example, trying to learn how to twist off axis and doing side flips just for me in particular is kind of hard. But we do have those things in code too. We still have like B twists in code. We still have double side aerial in code. So I mean, we're not quite exactly robots to a complete degree, but I mean, we are told usually when you tumble, you go in a straight line. When you're on beam, you go in a straight line. When you're on vault, you go in a straight line, or else you get hurt. So go straight.
Yeah, that's true. And I think you guys do have a different way of attacking it too, which is really interesting. So you guys, your goal is to have your end trick bigger. You don't care about like you're gonna just do round up back handspring, right? And then that's gonna be your setup for your end trick. Whereas like a tricker's like, well, I wanted a backside 12 into triple cork. And so it's like, okay, well, we want 2 triple corks in one combo. So like, yeah, you guys have like you'll do like double back to scene 2.5. What would you call that?
Just a back twisting 2.5.
Okay,
just
all
a
right.
back two and a
Yeah, I
half.
thought maybe there was a cool name for it.
I wish.
And then punch like 540 or punch forward twisting 2.5. So
So
like yeah, so they connect
punch
them.
Rudy, punch Randy.
Okay, yeah, something like that. So like basically I'm saying like you guys have the consecutive high level skills, but it's like it's like you're not doing like a vault pass into back handspring, back full bar catch. Like they like yes, you have well
That
rounded,
is true.
but like we have our version of well rounded is all on the floor, and our version of well rounded has to all connect. So I
Well, I
think
mean, if you're going into a point like that, bars is like that, where it's usually just like big skill, big skill, big skill, maybe a small transition skill into big skill, small transition skill, big skill, big finish.
that's true. That is true flow, not actually stopping. Okay, as a tricker, I respect that.
Yeah, because like, have you seen some of the high bar stuff they do now? Like
Yeah,
double
that's pretty
twisting, double
insane.
layout over a bar and recatching.
And
Like,
recatch
how
it,
on
yeah.
earth? Like,
It's good
no.
stuff.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
floor, it was they actually made it if I should say illegal, but I don't know if that's the correct term. But a long time ago, they used to be able to just do like front tuck, round off, back handspring, whip back handspring, back full, punch front tuck, step out, round off, back handspring, 1.5, punch front to their stomach. Like that used to be a tumbling pass, but you just aren't allowed to do that anymore. They're not allowed to
Okay. And
do those long passes.
is there a reason for that? Other than it just being worth less points that they don't
I
want
I
to?
think there was some weird thing in code. I haven't researched it that much. I just know that back in like I think it was the 70s and 80s, it used to be a little bit more like that, where they just used to do skill, 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 stop, skill, 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 dance, skill, 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 skill. That's like, well, it kind of gets repetitive because a lot of people do the same type of passes. Now, granted, even at higher level tumbling, a lot of them are using some of the same passes just because they're worth the most. But
Right.
when you see 7 out of 10 people do front tuck, step out, round off, whip back, back full, punch front, step out, round off, back half, front handspring, front tuck, and you're like, all right, like cool. 7 other people just did that. That's not fun to watch anymore.
Right, yeah, and it's like hard if you're not side by side. It's hard to actually compare them like the judges are. And kudos to the audience if anyone kept up with that. I did. I did. It was a pretty good one. That was a good pass. Um, but I think I'm going to say one more good point before we start talking about specific people that I think would do really well, and that's just that the trickers fall so much. So I think that if a tricker was going to transition into gymnastics, I think that it would be amazing for them to learn it. It would be so easy. First of all, because yeah, they learned how to learn and they can learn it, but they're also willing to fall because they know how to fall and they've been falling, and so they're not worried about doing it perfectly at first. They just do it like they always do, and then they perfect it afterwards. And I
Well,
think the
that's true.
gymnasts have a hard time with that, you know? I think that they want to come in and they're like, okay, is this a cheat nine? And you're like, yeah, it's a cheat nine. And then they watch the video, they're like, no, it wasn't. You're like, no, it was. But like it's not perfect, so it's not competable for them. Like
Yeah,
that's how they
that
think
is
of it.
true. I very much agree with that. We do have a little bit of a perfectionist mindset there. But I mean, we are also used to falling. Like we crash, oh God knows how many times, just falling on our head, or well, not quite our head usually, but falling on like our stomach, falling on our side, of just like learning new skills. I mean, we have that aspect, but I think we also run into more of an issue. I've seen more gymnasts get scared of things really quickly and have a hard time working past that fear, where I've seen more trickers in my time now, just if they get scared of something, they're willing to take that step and just be like, all right, like how can I get past this and just not be a wimp and just go for it and work at it.
Deep breath, ask their buddy to slap them in the face. They go.
Yep. All right, so who do you think would transition best from tricking to doing gymnastics? And not just like tumbling and vault, but I mean like true hardcore, either men's 6-event gymnastics or women's 4-event gymnastics.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna lean on the tumbling a little bit, because that's obviously where we're strongest is the floor. But I do have to say that a lot of them do start with parkour. You know, I did say that before. So I think that they can figure out the rest of it, and they have good transfer momentum. So it will come back. It'll come to them if they actually work for it. But I'm gonna start with Michael Guthrie. I'm talking about him. he started in martial arts, has an amazing martial arts base, and
Yeah.
he worked all the way up. And in his teens, I'm not exactly sure how old he was, but he put out a sampler where he was doing so much grass tumbling. I sent you a video for reference.
Yeah.
But it was like he did round off, whip, punch Arabian, step out, round off, back handspring, triple full on grass, and it was
Okay,
like
triple full on grass is kind of insane.
Yeah, it was like perfectly rotated, and it was like he's punching, like it didn't look like he was on grass at all. And then I also want to talk about Shosei in his Deer Tricking sampler. He was
Shosei.
doing, I know, yeah, I don't know how much you compete with Shosei. I don't know if you'll be able to. But he was doing like triple cork combos on concrete in these big ass shoes. Like giant. And so it's like you were talking about how the gymnasts can do the skills on like the worst floor, and like yes, they started it, but it's like we do the hard tricks on the hard floor on occasion. We just prefer to push the limits constantly and not be doing like the concrete tricks. If we're doing concrete tricks, it means we're doing easier skills for us. And triple cork and triple full were easy skills for them. So that's what
Which is
they were
insane.
doing. Yeah. So I just want to hear who you are going to put up against these two.
Oh god, that's a little tough bringing up Shosei and Michael Guthrie. They're two goats. All right. I mean, first person that obviously is going to come to mind is Simone Biles, because Lord knows that lady just is the greatest of all time. Like, she is beyond amazing. She has a skill on all 5 events. Or all on 4 events, my bad, not 5. But she has 5 skills named after her, which is obscene. And she has the power. She has the really tight twisting. Like, she is just the quintessential person who I would love to see be able to start tricking. Like, oh my god, she'd blow people out of the water. If she could just learn to swing off 1 foot, I bet she could get it like a snatch cannon in like 2 months. Like, I wouldn't even put it past her. She is that good.
If she was doing swings, what setup do you actually think that she would be best at?
Oh, I don't know.
Like if she was gonna go for snatch cannon, what would she do it out of?
I think she would just be a G and just go G switch snatch cannon. She would just be a G. She'd just be like, all right, so I heard there's thing called this G switch. Yeah, I'm just gonna do that and just do a full in out of it. It's fine.
Round off, whip, swing, snatch.
Yeah,
that's what she would do.
That's all she would do, and she would just be like, all right, like first try after 2 months of trying this, like, all right, let's put it on the floor, see how it goes.
I think either that or while you were talking, I was thinking of master scoot. I think that would be because you could potentially make it like a back handspring, but maybe that would be too difficult to like relate them, for a gymnast. Like that robot might set in. And they might
because she might force it down to 2 feet if it becomes too much like a back handspring. I agree. Like,
right.
Because then she might want to put that foot down. But I mean, if she just had the time to just learn to swing, you gotta admit, I mean, she's really tiny, but she has an obscene amount of power. All she'd have to do is just learn how to swing correctly. And she's such a natural athlete. She could do it. Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind.
When she punches, she goes ridiculously high. Like there's springs in the feet, and so yeah, I want to see what it would look like if she would the springs still be there, or is it completely different like muscles when it comes to the swings and the vanish tricks and
that would be true,
the one-legged stuff. So not sure.
Another person I think, at least on men's side, would be also not counting Simone Biles because I already know she would be great, but. Men's side, like Carlos Yulo, who just won the 2019 World Championships in Stuttgart, if I think that's the right word for the country, his floor routine is amazing. He has a 6.6 difficulty value, which is just beyond high. Because the second highest was 6.5. Okay. I mean, for that level, you're looking at like 6.2 to 6.1 is usually about average. And in the top 10, I mean, the lowest was 6.1, and then it went 6.1, 6.2, a couple 6.3, 6.4, and then he won 6.5, and then they're saying at 6.6. And that's just insane.
Geez. And so just out of curiosity, so if he does a higher level pass, higher level skills in the 6.6, if he messes them up, does it drop drastically? or does it give him more wiggle room and he's just doing that because he's just simply better?
He's doing it because it gives him a little bit more wiggle room, because the way that, so going into how routines are made, you have a difficulty score, you have your execution score. Your execution score starts at 10, and then it slowly counts down if you're messing up your skills. But your difficulty score is made up of the skills that you actually complete. So all of the skills that he does count towards his difficulty score, but how well he does them goes into his execution score.
Gotcha. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, so he is just, oh my God. I mean, even in my head, just trying to connect a back 2.5 punch Randy, which is a forward 2.5, is already a lot of twisting. That's 5 twists within the matter of like 3 to 4 seconds. Like that's
5 twists, 2 jumps.
Yeah. 2 jumps, 5 twists. Like that's a lot. And then I mean his next pass after that was a back 3.5 punch, even though it's just a punch half. But having the timing to know just like to punch perfectly into a front half. And his height is insane when he does like double pike half out, or he does his double lay full out. It's like he has really good tumbling. He is amazing.
Wow.
But transitioning into swings, I think it would be, I don't know his actual, how he does on his events. I haven't seen many videos of what he does on his other events, but looking at where he was ranking at world championship or international competitions, I could see him scoring well on vault. I could see him scoring well on floor. So I don't know if his swing game would be really great because the translation into power and flow wouldn't quite be there maybe, but his twisting tech is really there. So if he could kind of learn how to go off one foot, I think he could learn to cork really fast. But going into transitions and doing stuff like that, I think he would have quite a big of a struggle at first, or even doing kicks right away. I think would be really hard to get, because he can twist really fast, but opening at the right timing for a kick,
I'm really curious on like what it would look like if someone just started doing the kicks from the Olympics. But also on that twisting thing, I just have to say that Shosei has done triple cork, and I think there's actually been a few from other people as well. Wow. And so that's 2 jumps, 6 twists.
2 jumps, 6
and
twists.
Only 2 legs total.
That's true. That's true. It's only 2 legs total, which is also just quite insane, because I've only seen Trigger math. Oh man. Well, because I mean, I've seen a photo. I think I saw a video on Instagram not that long ago. I don't remember what gymnast it was, but they did back 3.5 punch double front, and I was like, I don't know how you have the power just to pull a double front out of a 3.5. Like what?
That's insane. Yeah, especially you need that like flipping motion at the end. Like you can't twist through the floor. No, you have to. The twist has to be over, and you have to have your feet coming down square. That's insane. And then Shosei has also done the quad punch. Maybe was it quad swing dub or was it quad punch dub?
I think it's quad punch dub.
Okay,
but yeah, still 6 twists, 2 flips.
But I was just to also say that he can also do it off 2 feet, and most gymnasts can. I mean, trickers can do it off 2 and 1. So
that's true.
So I think the tumbling game is really not where the trickers would fall.
Excel at right away.
Yeah, that's where they would win. Is in the tumbling. I don't think that anyone would have an issue with that really, unless they were maybe a lower level. But true. Yeah, so I guess that's the tricker's weakness is the other events besides floor, and then I guess your gymnast weakness is the kicking area. But you guys' vert twists are probably insane because since you don't tilt, I bet you can do some crazy vert twists, and if you can understand the chambers, then I think it would be easy. I mean, you guys do stuff like the pommel horse. So, like, it's not like your legs are underdeveloped. But that actually brings up another point I wanted to talk about, is that because you guys have the other events, I think it would be difficult to come into tricking because your upper bodies would be so bulky. I think that might have an issue, especially when you're doing things like one leg and everything like that. Your balance in the kicks and everything is going to be much, much more difficult to find.
It could be, yeah. Because maybe. I think it would depend on how much you strengthen your legs, too. Because, I mean, if you're looking at some of those super high-level, like, Olympic athletes, I mean, they're pretty built. And some of them even aren't even especially built in the upper body as much if they're not more really good at doing swing events, like doing pommel horse, doing rings and doing stuff like that, they're not always like super jacked up top.
Really?
And some of them are just a little bit thinner. Like, I shouldn't say thinner, but one who recently retired, Niles, he isn't like super jacked, and he's not like a massive dude.
Simon Niles?
Yeah. Or no,
Wait,
not
what's
Simon Niles. It's Niles. Oh God, I'm trying to remember his name.
That was just a play on Simone Biles. Just the man version is just Simon Niles.
Simon Biles. Yeah, his Niles. God, what's his name? Why can't I remember? He's a famous. God, why can I not find him? Well, anyway, going into it, I mean, he's not like super big up top. So I mean, for him, it might be a little bit easier to find that spot. But I mean, there are some dudes that are just super jacked, and they are just massive upper bodies, but their lower bodies don't quite seem to be as big. But I mean, their legs are quite powerful. Because I mean, most of those top level gymnasts, when they're doing their tumbling and they're doing like vault, especially if they're doing all around, I mean, they're doing some crazy crap. Like vault, most of them will usually do a Souk double back, which is essentially 3 flips off of a board and a table, which is crazy. And then they'll usually do front handspring, double front half out, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Right,
like,
and that's all very, like, that's timing based, which I think is actually one of the biggest aspects in both sports is like the timing, and it matters less how strong you are. I think that's just like a byproduct and also like a precautionary measure to like some of the things you do also. But so then do you think Simone Biles would do better coming into tricking versus maybe one of the men gymnasts, or do you think the men gymnasts would still have an advantage?
I think, honestly, some of the women gymnasts that we have would probably transition more easily because they have, in my opinion, more flow into what they do. Because, I mean, uneven bars, I mean, high bar and parallel bars and pommel horse for us, you have to have a very strong flow or else you just kind of fall all over yourself. Where floor is just big skill, stop. Big skill, stop. Big skill, stop. Like, that's all it is.
Females have the dancing and the jumps. And the jumps are really, like when I've gotten to open gyms, there are some gymnast girls who are noticing the kicks I'm doing and they figure them out and ask how to do them and they learn them. Like the 540 kicks and maybe like the tornado kicks and B kicks, like simple ones, but like it's similar to their punch jumps, like the wolf or and the split jumps and stuff like that. So they have like the leg control and the flexibility. Do guys don't do those skills?
No, we're usually not performing those skills at a competition. Like, we have to work on them a little bit just for general flexibility sometimes or messing around. But I mean, women gymnasts, I mean, figuring out how to do a switch leap full it's a lot harder on the mind than you'd think at first, because you have to figure out how to kick your leg up just at the right time to push up, kick, turn, open, kick back, you kick your feet back together and finish the other half within like a second of fall time. And that's all you get.
It's kind of like almost like a split kick snapu or something.
Yeah.
Like similar to that.
Yeah, because you essentially you take off one leg kicking forward, you half turn, bring your legs back together, kick back into a split, and then pretty much do a snapu on the way down.
Is it a full twist on the way down, or it's half up, half
down? It's a half twist up, half twist down.
Okay, I thought you did you swing with one leg up, you hit your split, and then you full twist on the way down. That's what I thought it was, but
that would be
pretty cool too. That would be insane.
They have something like that, and it's a straddle where they can go straddle full, and that's a popa, is what it's called. Nice. You can also, there's different variations where you can do straddle through the half. You can do straddle in the beginning, wrap the full, or you can do it like almost closer to the end. But you can also over twist that, and it's just feeling the opening and then getting your legs back together. I think they would have an easier time than translating into doing kicks because they have so many skills like that.
Those are really similar to kicks that we do anyway, like crowd awakeners and stuff like that. And if they understand how to make that twist happen, retaining a chamber is really all they need to like do something like a jackknife or something like that.
I mean, because
they're doing that's a swing. That is a swing skill. So interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
all that means to me is that a tricker would be able to figure out skills fairly easily.
Uh, well, I mean, we do have in women's code, I think, well, something that's like what we consider a cork in tricking, except it's more overhead. And they also have double B twist in code. Like, that is a thing.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I mean,
we got to find a
someone
video
did it.
To see that. We got to find that.
Oh, I know, because I looked through the code one day and I was just like, what tricking skills might be in floor? And I was like, well, let's look through some of the dance stuff. I was like, oh, they have cork. Oh, they have double B twist. I was like, when did that?
Do they call it double B twist? Do they call it double butterfly twist?
They call it butterfly. I don't really know what they call it. I know they call it butterfly kick, and then I think they just do a 2/1 just to show that it has a double twist in it, and that's really it. But
oh my gosh, imagine if trickers labeled their tricks like that.
Oh yeah,
I would not be able to learn.
Saying it as a flip flop for a Valdez.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, that's insane. So you brought up your gymnast that you thought would do well in tricking, and before you bring him up, I want to bring up Taka. I just want to say, so do you think Taka's a tricker?
Yes, but I mean, does he really kick that much?
Oh, he does. I mean, he doesn't do more. I've seen him do 10s. I've seen him do backside 12s. He mostly does 9s, but he does 9s into like vanished TDR because he likes the weird axis. So like he'll use them, but he only uses the kicks if he's gonna do something funky after it. And he really likes like he mostly plays with the stances, which is awesome. So he's doing like he's hitting complete, semi, mega, and like using them to transfer into similar skills, like TDR, twist, pop flash, mega, vanish, scrub up, pop flash, semi, Gumby, cork snap. He does Gumbies all the time. So maybe Gumby is something also that Simone Biles would be good at. But yeah, I'm saying
Gumby is kind of like a weird round off where like when you were teaching me Gumby, I did Gumby technically the correct way I'm supposed to, and then I did it the technical wrong way, and it was a lot easier on my wrong way. It's the way that I naturally round off.
Okay, that makes sense. I think Eric Howard, we mentioned him in my last podcast. He's my roommate. He Gumby's the same way he round offs, and his Gumby's so powerful. So yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I'm saying so. Taka's a tricker. I mean, he does cork snap. He does his swing moves. He does swing chains. And I think he would do really well if he transitioned into gymnastics, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I mean,
he does the double back combos really, really well, and like he does the Valdez double backs. Like he's got the tumbling side down to it. He's doing flares. He's got all that stuff.
He does flares?
Oh yeah. Especially when he started tricking, he was really into flares.
So I mean, I guess he would be pretty good at doing vault and floor right away. But I mean, doing rings or doing parallel bars, like, oh, that's a whole different topic of conversation because you got to know how to be able to hold yourself and be able to swing and stop. That's hard. Let me tell you.
I mean, did you know that he's actually he was a high level gymnast? Did you know that?
For where?
Oh, I'm thinking from Japan. He was from Japan. He was a high level gymnast and he started tricking 2 years ago. He left gymnastics to become a tricker.
Wow.
What's that?
Okay. Yeah. Just to like start tricking because he was like, well, I just don't want to.
He was bored. And decided to do tricking instead. And he's like, I think one of 2 people in the world who's done elbow TDR triple cork. Wow. I mean, so I'm giving you like a little bit of pushback because yes, he was a high level gymnast and he became a tricker and he did really well and he's doing tricking tricks. But I think that he fully enveloped being a tricker. And I want to just say that he left gymnastics because it was too easy for him or because it was not complex enough. And so that's what makes me think that because tricking is more complex, that they would be able to dominate gymnastics.
Maybe. I mean, it really kind of depends though, because a lot of the basics that you have to learn for gymnastics can be a little bit harder to pick up on. But I mean, trickers are really good at figuring out. And if you can figure out your flow, it makes it a lot easier to actually transition into doing a lot of different events. So I could see that point, but I don't know. Like it's hard to do some events beyond tumbling and doing vault, because it's not just power based. It's not just like swing based off of one leg or just twisting. Like there is a lot more complexity. Like doing high bar. Could you imagine spinning around a bar?
I
8
could.
feet, 10 feet
So
in the air?
actually, I wanna use myself also as one of my trickers gone gymnasts. Now you're scared. So I actually started taking tumbling classes a little bit ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, and so I really wanted to get. I want to learn how to quad full on floor, and I want to learn how to full in on floor. I've done snatch cannon, but like that linear movement is a lot harder to find than I thought it was going to be. And because of the ankle break that I had, I'm still like, it still bugs me as I do punches and stuff like that. And so this is just like forcing me to rep it and forcing me to figure out how to do it properly, so that if it bothers my ankle, then I'm like, well, but it's the correct way, so I'll figure out how to deal with it. I don't want to do it the wrong way and have it bug my ankle and then be like, nope, but it's right, and then force it to happen. So so I started taking the tumbling classes to help me with that. But I'll have to send you some of the stuff I've been doing, but I gotten round off Arabian, round off back handspring double back, and I've done round off Valdez double back, actually like 4 times on floor. And then I did TDR Valdez double back. So I mean, like that to me is like tumbling based. I know it's not like perfect, but I'm just saying like it translated, and so I was able to pick that up. And I think that the small things that I picked up in the tumbling would easily translate to things like bars. And then I've also done like double flyaways off bars. I've done like Kong gainers, and I've messed with flares before, and like parkour skills that I think I I haven't done parkour in years. Like I haven't done the free running aspect like for probably 4 years, maybe more. But I know the other day I was like messing with some of them, and I still have them all. They're so easy, especially compared to tricky. So I would be able to pick up on those the other events pretty easily.
Yeah, you could. I mean, in all reality. And I mean, even now that I just scrolled back and creeped on Taka's Instagram, going back a couple to 2017. I mean, he was a pretty good gymnast.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, like looking at some of these videos, like he really was. So I mean, I could understand how he transitioned into gymnastics easily, because he really has good flow on pommel horse, good flow on bars, good flow on parallel bars. Like yeah, I can see how it could seem boring at some point, because then you're just like, well, I want to do this. Like that looks really cool. Like how I got interested in drinking, it was just like, oh, that's really cool. How did you do that kick after 2 twists? Like I don't get that in my head.
Right, yeah, there's, like, just it's a different form of complexity, and I think that complexity is a little bit more fun. It's like, "Oh, I need to figure out how to raise my knee and snap it," and then it's like you figure out how to raise your knee and then throw that round kick afterwards, and then you're like, "Oh, but I could point my toe. Oh, I could raise it higher. Oh, I could turn my foot out so I can vanish it. I can get it higher so I can do, like, a swing." Like, there's so many things you can do with it, versus gymnastics, it's like, "How do I make this better?" Squeeze tighter. Put your arms closer to your ears." Like, but that doesn't really make like that big of a visual difference, because it's still the same skill.
And that's true. There is
yeah,
that huge different level of complexity. You are right. Like for gymnastics, especially, there's a certain set number of skills that you can do out of certain set number of skills. Like it is how it goes.
yeah, and I think the last thing I wanted to say, the last point I wanted for the trickers really was their level of like commitment and drive is like, because tricking is like an underground thing and it doesn't get like a huge amount of recognition, especially among the public. So the people who do it are so dedicated to doing it, and they do it just simply because they like it. And then you get people who are like phenomenal at it and they like don't get a lot of recognition, but they don't care. They just keep doing it, versus like,
Yeah.
it's like, that's what makes me think that they would transition well into gymnastics, because gymnastics has like certain skills that they can like strive for. It's like very obvious like end goals. And so when they have those obvious end goals, then it's like, okay, I can just push and push and push here. And I don't need to spread myself so thin among all these complexities and tricking. And so I think that they would catch on so easily. And then yeah, it would just be so easy for them to do that. And there was like a little more to that, but that's pretty much what I was trying to say.
I mean, you guys do have a completely different drive, because if someone just stops falling in love with gymnastics, they don't always try as hard. Where I haven't seen, at least in my time, that many trickers yet that have just like stopped falling in love with it or just don't go after it as hard.
Right.
Like they
Yeah. Okay.
still really push themselves every time, because you guys don't get a ton of recognition. Like even watching Shosei on his YouTube, it's not like he has a ton of followers, but he just does some crazy stuff. But in the gymnastics community, now that it's coming up again, I mean, we're gaining more following now, finally, after issues in the past, and it's on the rise again. So, I mean, if a tricker went into gymnastics for any reason and gained a bunch of following, maybe it would also unlock more of the, oh yeah, this is where I came from. I did tricking. And they're like, oh, what's tricking? And then people would be more interested in it, because tricking.
And I would love to see them put a double B in their in
I
their
know.
routine. But yeah, I mean that was actually my end point that I had forgotten, was just that so like the gymnasts, they do have that drive, especially when they get that good. But they're also put in it. Like I feel like they don't make that choice as a kid. Their parents decide to put them in, and if they do make that choice as a kid, like I don't know how much it the how committed they stay to it, just because of the level of like the environment that they're in, or like because they're told that they need to push, not necessarily because they want to. Versus a tricker, they're almost told not to, or they're told like it's just like a weird thing, like we only get open gyms, we don't get classes. Like what's with that? Like versus them, they're like, you get classes, you get to try hard, you get to, like, and you could go to the Olympics. Like in tricking, it's like you get nothing. And you're like, oh, well, I'm going to try anyway.
Don't forget to follow our socials at ZidaneCloud on Instagram for me, Sean.
And CHRISPY_TRIX. That's Crispy Tricks on Instagram. And I also have another YouTube channel, Trix Fix, TRIX space FIX, for more tutorials and other things.
And just remember to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for all notifications. And we'll see you guys next time.